Welcome back to the Naxxramas Raid Guide. In this video I'll be covering Kel'Thuzad, the final boss of Naxxramas, which we'll be going to right after you kill Saffron. My name's Ciderhelm, I'm from TankSpot, and like all of these videos, these are intended for full raids rather than just for tanks, so if you want to post it to your guild forums, please feel free. I'm editing this down for brevity, so I can get it on YouTube and make sure it's available to as many people as possible, but this is going to be about a 10 to 15 minute encounter. The key to this encounter is stability and longevity. It's a healing encounter, it's a DPS encounter, it's a tanking encounter. It does factor in all three pretty well. What you're seeing here is we've just moved into this green circle in the middle. Everybody has to move in here immediately, so when these ads spawn all around the room, they don't aggro onto the group, in which case you wipe and die terribly. The patchwork of the abominations here, we're picking those up as melee. Those are going to be easy to burn down. Those aren't too much of a problem, but those are going to be what the melee is handling all the time when we're in the middle. These skeletons coming down, they can be one-shot, they can be killed very easily by ranged classes. You can add a little bit of support with ranged attacks if you're melee. And then finally, what you're going to be seeing coming into the middle here are Banshees. The Banshees take quite a bit longer to kill. They take about probably 2 to 3 dedicated ranged DPSers to bring them down in time, especially as you're seeing here, especially as ads start to pick up. This is skipped ahead a little through this intro. It's about 3 to 4 minutes of killing trash. This is where things start coming quite a bit faster, and we have to deal with them quite a bit faster. Obviously, if you don't have people that are able to quickly focus down on those skeletons, they can become problematic. Now, Kel'Thuzad should become active fairly soon here, so let's keep in mind what happens when he does. When Kel'Thuzad does become active, he's going to move towards me, and then he's going to move towards the, or I'm going to try to move him towards the center, roughly the center of this green circle. That's just for raid positioning to let people come around. Looks like he has become active, so, and all the ads around the corners have disappeared, so your raid can spread out here. You have a few minutes here, not a few minutes, you have about 10 to 20 seconds in which you can finish off all these ads with no problem. And there you've seen one of his mechanics, the Void Zone. I'll get into that in just a second. So make sure right here that your raid is finishing off all these mobs. The Banshees are probably going to be the ones left up, so don't let too many people near them. And these Frost Bolts he's casting, as far as tank positioning, one thing that is very helpful I found for actually moving Kel'Thuzad is interrupting one of these Frost Bolts. He will eventually move even if you don't, but you always want to be interrupting these Frost Bolts anyway, so if you want to move him early on, you might as well get to interrupting them early on. Whether that's your rogues, whether that's your warriors, whether that's yourself. If you are a warrior, you are capable of doing the interrupt. Okay, one of the things you'll start noticing is we do have our raid group spread out here. This is because he will do an ice block. The ice block you should be seeing on the back left player on melee here, which is going to be Untitled our paladin. When he does that ice block, it does more damage than it does like 100% or 120% of your health in damage. No matter what, it will kill you if you do not receive heals. The other thing about the ice block and the reason people are spread out is when he hits a target with that ice block, he'll hit all surrounding targets with it as well. So you do want to keep spread out. This is a little bit harder. I imagine it's harder in the 25-man because it was harder in the 40-man version of this. So you do want to make sure you're spread out from each other, that he just got hit by it. So he's got to get some heals. Someone can run over and throw on a bandage if there's melee nearby, but that's something that is important. Going along with that, you'll notice that we have a 3-point melee setup on Kel'Thuzad. You can do that as 4-point as well. But basically, off to my right is another tank, and off to my left is the melee. The reason for that is so that I will never have someone standing near me, so I never receive an ice block from another player, and I can keep tanking. In the 10-man version of this, it only requires one tank, so you can just split up the melee. It doesn't matter if you have the off-tank doing whatever on the right side with melee or not. So you can keep it to a 3-point even if you have an off-tank that you're trying to keep alive, which obviously you do want to. Another thing he does is an Aoe Frost Bolt. This does add to the Aoe healing involved here. And the final thing, coming back to the single target Frost Bolt, you want to set up a rotation. You want to interrupt as many of those as you can. You'll notice that my shield bash is almost always on cooldown here. I do miss a couple here because we are calling it out on vent and deciding who's going to do what when. But that's something that you do need to keep in mind. Getting these Frost Bolts interrupted, it reduces the incoming damage quite a bit. It does help your healers out quite a bit. Now the Void Zones are very easy to see. Again, here I'm going to step out of this real quick. Very easy to see them. When they come up, they do kill. They absolutely will kill. There's nothing you can do to survive it. I mean, maybe if you're a paladin you can throw up a shield and maybe survive it. I don't know, but they will almost always kill. Finally, at about 40%, a little above it looks like here, you do start getting these adds. They look like a Nubricon, and they're pretty easy to tank in the 10-man version, but you have to get your off-tank on them right away. There are going to be 3 of them, and they're going to be off-tanked for the remainder of this encounter. Don't attempt to kill them. They have too much health, they're not worth the time. At this point, you're essentially in a burn phase on Kel'Thuzad. It's an unusually long burn phase, that's what makes him unique. In that you have to get him down a full 40% while these adds are up. But while these are being off-tanked, you can go ahead and watch through the rest of this encounter and you should see quite a bit. You should see a pleasant kill. Skipping ahead towards the end here. The 40-man encounter was quite a bit of fun. I'm actually going to include that video in the thread on this, so if you are interested in seeing how the 40-man encounter played out, then I'm going to include the video of our guild when we did it. It was a lot of fun. It was a very interesting dynamic, very long video. I mean, you're looking at, again, about a 12 to 15 minute kill on there. So if you want to check that out, I'd suggest stopping by TankSpot.com, and obviously thank you for watching this. If you have any questions at all, regardless of whether you're a tank or not, feel free to stop by TankSpot.com, register, ask your questions, get help, and thanks for watching.